Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're going to break down the machine that pretty much runs our entire world, the computer. We're going on a journey from its super simple beginnings and just, doing math, all the way to the complex intelligence that is shaping our future right now.
So here's what we've got on tap. First, we're going to tackle the big question: what even is a computer? Then, we'll take a peek inside the box at all the bits and pieces that make it work. After that, we'll check out its surprisingly diverse family tree, trace its lightning-fast evolution, and finally, we'll see how it all adds up to the massive impact computers have on our daily lives.
All right, first things first. What is a computer, really? I mean, the biggest clue is sitting right there in the name.
At its core, the whole idea started with one thing: to compute, to calculate stuff. But today's computers, they have some really special characteristics that make them unbelievably powerful. Okay, so at its heart, a computer is basically a machine for processing data. It just follows a list of instructions. That's what a program is, to turn some kind of raw input into a useful result. Think of it like a super simple loop. It takes something in, does something with it, and gives something new back. Simple, but incredibly powerful. So let's talk about superpowers. The first one is just mind-blowing speed. And I'm not just talking fast. We're talking millions, sometimes billions of calculations every single second. It's a pace our brains literally can't even process, and it's what lets us do everything from forecasting the weather to running global financial markets. Superpower number 2, flawless accuracy. A computer is just relentlessly precise. You see, unlike us, it doesn't have a bad day. It doesn't get distracted. If you give it the right information and the right instructions, the answer will be perfect every single time. That reliability is absolutely key.
And then there's diligence. A computer never, ever gets tired or bored. Just try to imagine having to check a spreadsheet with a million rows for one tiny error. It would be absolute torture for a person, right? But a computer, it just plows through repetitive tasks with perfect focus, forever.
So when you put all 5 of these things together, the speed, the accuracy, the diligence, plus its massive storage and incredible versatility, that's when you really get why the computer is so revolutionary. It's not any one of these things. It's the combination of all of them that creates such an amazing tool.
Okay, so how does a machine actually do all this? To figure that out, we need to pop the hood and take a look at the physical parts that make the magic happen. We're talking about the hardware.
Well, the command center for any computer is the CPU, the central processing unit. You can just think of it as the brain. And this brain has 2 main parts: the ALU, or Arithmetic Logic Unit, which is the math whiz, handling all the calculations in logic, and then you have the control unit, which acts like a traffic cop, directing the flow of information all across the system.
So if the CPU is the brain, then the motherboard is the central nervous system. It's this giant circuit board where everything plugs in: the CPU, the memory, you name it. It lets all these different parts talk to each other. It's really the foundation holding the whole thing together.
Now this is a really important difference to get. RAM is kind of like your desk. It's where you put all the stuff you're working on right now. But here's the catch. When you turn the computer off, that desk gets completely wiped clean. ROM, on the other hand, holds the permanent instructions the computer needs just to boot up and know what it is. It's the essential knowledge that's always there, no matter what.
All right, so now that we know what's inside, let's zoom out and take a look at the whole diverse family of computers out there in the world.
Yeah, computers are definitely not one size fits all. At the very top, you have supercomputers. These are enormous machines tackling huge problems like complex scientific simulations. Then you have mainframes, the super reliable workhorses that power things like global banking systems. And of course, you've got the microcomputers we all know and love, our desktops and laptops.
And besides just size, computers also differ in how they think. Analog computers work with continuous, real-world information. Think of the smooth wave of a sound, or the temperature slowly rising. Digital computers, the kind we use every day, they don't measure, they count. They turn absolutely everything into separate, distinct numbers, a whole language of just zeros and ones.
So how in the world did we get here? The history of the computer is this incredible, relentless story of things getting smaller and smaller while getting more and more powerful. Let's take a quick look at how it all happened.
That wild journey from a machine the size of a room to one that fits on your wrist, it basically happened in 5 big leaps. Each generation was kicked off by a single technological breakthrough that completely changed the game.
You can see the progression right here. We started with these huge, clunky vacuum tubes. Then, bam,
The transistor comes along and makes everything smaller and more reliable. After that, integrated circuits put a bunch of transistors onto one chip. That led to the microprocessor, a whole computer on a chip. And now we're in the era of artificial intelligence. Each step just made them exponentially smaller, faster, and way, way cheaper.
I mean, seriously, try to picture this. One single computer filling an entire room, glowing with thousands of hot, super fragile glass tubes. They were massive, they were ridiculously expensive, they produced a ton of heat, but hey, they were the pioneers.
And then, the game changer, the microprocessor. This was the moment an entire CPU, the brain of the computer, was shrunk down to fit on a single tiny piece of silicon. And this invention didn't just make computers smaller, it's what made the personal computer possible, bringing all that power into our homes and eventually right into our pockets.
So, let's bring this all home. Why does any of this tech history actually matter to you right here, right now? Well, because today, computers are just completely woven into the fabric of our lives. They're in our hospitals, running the MRI machines that save lives. They're in our schools, making online learning possible. They power our banks, our global communications network, our shopping, our entertainment. They are, quite simply, everywhere.
And you know what? All of these modern marvels are only possible because of those core superpowers we talked about at the very beginning. That incredible speed, that flawless accuracy, and that tireless diligence, that's the foundation that our entire digital world is built on.
Think about it. We've gone from vacuum tubes to artificial intelligence in the span of a single human lifetime. That incredible pace of innovation isn't slowing down. It just leaves you wondering, what on earth will the sixth generation bring? Thanks for joining us on this explainer.